discussion on cost. Classes continue your discussion on cost concepts. Classes continue your discussion on cost concepts. We were discussing classification of costs as to type, as to traceability, and third one is as to behavior. Now, costs as to behavior can be categorized into variable cost and fixed cost. Okay? Now, just a quick review. Yung direct materials, direct labor and overhead, these are your product costs. Selling and administrative expenses, these are your period costs. Direct materials, always variable yan. Okay? Direct labor is always variable. Overhead can be variable or fixed. Selling and administrative expenses can be variable or fixed. Alright? Now, doon tayo sa variable cost. Ang gawin natin example is direct materials. For example, class, yung doon pa rin tayo sa calculator natin, ay illustration. Yung materials na ginagamit natin to produce 1 unit of calculator is 200 pesos per calculator. So, lagyan natin 200 pesos per unit. Ayan. And ito yung graphs natin. Okay? Dito kami lang mag-focus. Ito yung total cost. Ito naman yung per unit. Okay, ito muna tayo. Sa graph natin, ito yung number of units. Ito naman yung cost. Okay? Now, doon tayo sa total variable cost. So, ibig sabihin lang ng total variable cost, pag mas nagpo-produce tayo ng calculators, mas malaki yung cost na nai-incur natin, obviously. So, for example, ganito yung graph niya. Okay? So, let's say nag-produce tayo ng 1,000 units. So, ang magiging total cost natin, 200 times 1,000, 200,000. Okay? So, pag nagpo-produce tayo, as to total variable cost, nag-i-increase siya. So, meron siyang direct relationship. Pag tumaas yung number of units, tataas yung variable cost. Okay? Now, doon naman sa variable cost per unit, ganito naman yung graph niya. This is always 200 pesos per unit. Okay? On a per unit basis, yung variable cost natin hindi nagbabago yan. Sa total variable cost, yun yung nagbabago. Okay? So, this is constant relationship. So, direct relationship, lagay ko direct. Ito naman, constant. Doon naman tayo sa fixed cost. Ang gawin natin example sa fixed cost is fixed overhead. Ano ba example ng fixed overhead? Example, rent. Okay? So, yung factory natin, nagbabayad tayo ng rent. For example, 50,000 per month. Ayan, 50,000 per month yung sa factory. Yung total fixed cost natin, ganito naman yung graph niya. Parang ganito. Okay? Parang variable cost per unit. Because class, kahit gaano karaming units ang i-produce natin, ang binabayad pa rin natin is 50,000 na rent per month. Okay? Whether mag-produce ka ng 0 unit or mag-produce ka ng 1,000 units, ang babayad mo pa din is 50,000. Okay? So, constant yan. Now, fixed cost per unit naman, ganito yung graph niyan. Okay? Pababa. Sir, bakit pababa? Ganito yung class. For example, nag-produce tayo ng 1,000 units. Okay? Ang binayad mo is 50,000. How much per unit yon? So, magiging 50,000 divided by 1,000 is 50 per unit. Okay? Yung fixed cost per unit natin. Pag dinamihan mo yung production mo, let's say 5,000 units yung produce mo. So, 50,000 divided by 5,000, that's 10 pesos per unit. So, nung dumami yung produce mo, bumaba yung fixed cost per unit. Got it? Kaya pababa yung graph niyan. Pwede mong isipin na ganito yung class. Kung mas marami ka na po-produce sa factory, 5,000 compared sa 1,000, it means mas nasusulit mo yung binabayad mo na renta. Okay? Kaya ang fixed cost per unit is, ayun, pababa siya. Okay? Meron siyang inverse relationship. So, direct, sa total variable cost, constant sa variable cost per unit, constant tayo sa total fixed cost, and then inverse naman tayo sa fixed cost per unit. Okay? Now, so, ayan. Meron tayo class na assumption dito. Ang assumption natin is yung relationships na yan, yung direct, yung inverse, yung constant, is within the relevant range. Valid sila within the relevant range. Sir, ano ba ibig sabihin ng relevant range? Bibigyan natin ng example. For example, class, yung factory natin, ang maximum na kaya niya i-produce is 5,000 units. Okay? 5,000 units. Now, pag magpo-produce ka ng 5,001 units, okay, isa pang additional unit, kailangan mo na magrenta ng additional factory. So, ibig sabihin, yung fixed cost mo tataas. Hindi na siya 50,000 per month, magiging 100,000 per month na siya. Gets ba yan? So, hindi na ganito yung graph mo sa fixed cost. Pag ang ipoproduce mo is more than 5,000 units. Pag sinabing within the relevant range, ibig sabihin, up to 5,000 units lang yung pinag-uusapan natin. Yun yung assumption sa relationships. Na direct, inverse, and constant. Gets? Okay. Sige, so apply muna natin yung class para mas ma-appreciate yung concepts. Let's go to, dun tayo sa theory muna. Theory number 23. Okay, number 23. Variable costs are those costs that, letter A, vary inversely with changes in activity. Mali. Pag inverse, yun yung fixed cost per unit. Okay? Letter B, vary directly with changes in activity. That's correct. Again, kapag variable cost, meron siyang direct relationship. Okay? Yung total variable cost. Boy yung sagot natin dyan. When you say yung changes in activity, dito sa example natin, yung number of units na napoproduce natin. So, ibig sabihin yan, yung variable cost daw, Pag mas marami tayong units na napoproduce, mas mataas yung variable cost na i-incur natin. Tingnan natin class kung bakit mali yung ibang choices. Letter C, decrease on a per unit basis as activity increases. Mali yan. Yung C is actually fixed cost per unit. Okay? Bumababa siya kapag mas marami ka napoproduce. Yung dog naman, increase on a per unit basis as activity increase. Walang ganyan. Kasi yung variable cost per unit natin is constant. Okay? On a per unit basis. For number 23, it's boy. Number 24, as activity decreases, unit variable cost. Okay, so kahit gaano karami units yung napoproduce natin, yung variable cost natin is constant. Alright? That's why answer natin for number 24 is letter C, remains constant. Number 25, fixed costs are those costs that, dun tayo sa letter D, remain constant as activity changes. Alam natin class, yung fixed cost, yung example natin kanina, yung rent na 50,000 per month, kahit gaano karami units na i-produce natin, still 50,000 per month. Assuming within the relevant range. Okay? Very important yun, relevant range. Answer natin dyan class is dog remain constant as activity changes. Number 26, the fixed cost per unit. Okay, fixed cost per unit, ito. Kaya maganda dito, tandaan nyo na lang yung graph natin. Okay, so from the graphs, kaya mo sagutan yung mga ganitong questions. Tingnan natin class. A, will increase as activity increases. Mali yan, kasi alam natin, pag fixed cost per unit, pababa siya. Okay? Boy will increase as activity decreases. Yes, that's correct. C will decrease as activity increases. Inverse relationship. So yung boy and C are correct. Final answer natin for number 26 is dog. Okay, will exhibit the behavior described in choices B and C. Tandaan mo class, fixed cost per unit, inverse relationship. Number 27, which of the following statements is false? Actually, yung A yung sagot natin. Tingnan natin class. At zero production level, fixed costs are also zero. Mali yan. Kasi class, dito, ito yung zero production, tama? Wala ka na produce. Meron ka pa rin mai-incur na fixed cost. So isipin mo lang, pag wala ka na produce, hindi ka na magbabayad ng renta, magbabayad ka pa rin. Okay? Kaya dito class, at zero production level, fixed costs are positive. Okay? Kaya mali yung A. Tingnan natin yung ibang choices. Boy, at zero production level, fixed costs are usually positive. That's correct. C, at zero production level, variable costs are usually zero. Yes. Pag wala ka na produce na calculator, wala kang gagastusin na 200 per unit na materials. Okay, so that's correct. Dog, at zero production level, total costs equal to fixed cost. Yes, that's correct. Kasi wala kang variable cost at zero production level. That's why A yung sagot natin, false. The term relevant range, as used in cost accounting, means the range over which, yun, example ko kanina, cost relationships are valid. Letter A tayo for number 28. Ulitin ko lang class ha, pag sinabing within relevant range, ang isipin mo na lang yung example ko na renta. Okay? Yung maximum capacity ng factory natin is 5,000 units. Kapag magpo-produce ka more than 5,000, kailangan mo mag-rent ng additional factory. Okay? So yung assumption natin, sa discussion natin, up to 5,000 lang. Yun yung relevant range. 0 to 5,000. Okay? So that's for number 28. Sagutan na rin natin yung other concepts in other cost concepts. Number 29. The salaries you could be earning by working rather than attending college are an example of, ang tawag natin yung class is boy opportunity cost. So yung opportunity cost, basically, yan yung foregone opportunity. For example, pag graduate mo ng college, pwede kang mag-review sa CPE boards or diretso kang magtrabaho. Pag nagtrabaho ka, let's say, kikita ka ng 20,000 per month. Yung pag nag-review ka, hindi ka magtatrabaho. For example lang, ang tawag dun sa 20,000 per month na yun, opportunity cost or foregone opportunity. Letter B or boy. 30, sunk costs. Okay, answer natin for number 30 is dog. In themselves are not relevant to decision making. Pag sinabing sunk costs, ito yung past cost. Ito yung nagastos mo na. Okay? For example, class, bumili ka ng laptop. Okay? Yung laptop, ang bili mo, let's say, 30,000. Ngayon, magde-decide ka kung magre-review ka ba or magtatrabaho ka. Either way, kahit anong mangyari, gagamitin mo yung laptop o sa review and sa work. Kaya yung sunk cost, yung nabayad mo na 30,000 sa laptop, irrelevant na yan. Okay? Ang tawag natin doon, sunk costs or basically, yan yung past costs. Dog for number 30. 31, if the total cost of alternative A is 50,000 and total cost of alternative B is 34, yung difference nila na 16,000, ang tawag natin doon, differential cost. Okay, dog. The term incremental cost refers to, take note muna to class, yung incremental cost, actually, yan din yung variable cost natin. Okay? Boy yung sagot, the additional cost of producing or selling another product or service. Kasi class, for example, magpo-produce tayo ng isang unit nito. Okay? Gagastos tayo ng materials and labor. Yung fixed cost natin, pwedeng hindi tayo mag-incur nun, additional, okay? Pero whenever nagpo-produce ka, for sure, mag-i-incur ka ng variable cost. So that's why yung incremental cost, synonymous yan sa variable cost. Okay? Again, answer natin for number 32 is boy, the additional cost of producing or selling another product or service. Okay. Now, let's go to the problem solving. If you remember class, meron tayo na skip na number, which is number 3. Okay, dun tayo sa number 3. Kasi yung number 3, application niya ng variable versus fixed cost. Okay? Problem solving number 3. Total costs are 120,000 when 10,000 units are produced. Of this amount, variable costs are 48,000. What are the total costs when 12,000 units are produced? Okay, so may mention dito na total costs. balik muna tayo dito sa graph natin. Tama ba class? Ito yung variable cost natin. Ito naman yung fixed cost. Okay? Pag pinagsama mo yung variable cost and fixed cost, ang tawag natin dyan class is total costs. Okay? Ang ibang tawag sa total costs is mixed costs. Mixed kasi pinagsama mo yung variable and fixed cost. Pag graph mo yung class, ganito yan. Ganito naman yung graph niyan. Okay? So, ito yung fixed cost. Ito siya. Ito naman yung variable cost. Okay? So, ito yung number of units. For example, ito yung 0 units tayo na produce natin, ito 1,000. Okay? So, at 0 production, ang may incur mo lang dyan is the fixed cost. Okay? Now, pag mas nag-produce ka, mag-i-incur ka ng fixed cost and variable cost. Ito yung graph natin ng total cost. Again, pag pinagsama mo yung variable cost and fixed cost, ang tawag natin dyan is total cost. So, tanda mo yung graph natin yan. Alright? So, let's go back to number 3. Total costs are 120,000 when 10,000 units are produced. Of this amount, variable costs are 48,000. What are the total costs when 12,000 units are produced? Ganito gagawin mo dyan, class. Alam ko na yung total cost natin is equal to variable cost plus fixed cost. Okay? And then sabi dyan, yung variable cost daw, 48,000. Tama ba class? Yung variable cost per unit natin is equal to 48,000 over 10,000, which is 4.8 pesos per unit. Ito yung variable cost natin. Whenever mag-i-incur ka or mag-produce ka ng isang unit, ito yung i-incur mo. Tama? Now, ang gagawin ko dyan next is, okay, alam ko na total cost is equal to variable cost plus fixed cost. Okay? And then sabi dyan, total cost daw 120,000. Okay? And ang na-produce natin is 10,000 units. So, ang variable cost natin is 48,000 according to the given. Yung fixed cost hindi siya minention. So, that's fixed cost. Now, solving for fixed cost, yung fixed cost natin based on this is 120,000 minus 48,000. That is 72,000. So, alam natin class, yung fixed cost natin is 72,000, yung variable cost natin is 4.8 per unit. Now, ang tanong dyan, how much daw yung total cost pag 12,000 yung na-produce natin? Now, dali lang yan. Yung variable cost natin is 4.8 times 10,000 at 12,000. So, 4.8 times 12,000, that is 57,600. Okay, so alam natin class, ang total cost yun pa daw, tama? So, variable cost natin is 57,600, fixed cost natin is 72,000. Therefore, yung total cost natin, 57,600 plus 72,000, answer natin dyan class, is 129,600. Dog is our answer for problem number 3. Okay, so that's for number 3. Plus, there are instances wherein ang available information lang sa atin is the total cost. And for analysis purposes, and para mas maging useful to the managers, kailangan natin malaman class, how much from the total cost is the variable cost and how much is the fixed cost. Okay? And we can do that by applying what we call the cost segregation techniques. Kaya tinawag na segregation because ang goal niyan is to segregate the variable and the fixed cost. Gets? Now, in practice, we have 3 acceptable cost segregation techniques. Number 1 is the high-low method. Second is the scatter graph method. The third is the least squares, or you also call this the regression method. Iisa-isahin natin yan. But basically, the objective of each of these is to develop what we call the cost function. Medyo magre-review tayo ng konting algebra. Simple lang naman, no? Yung cost function, ang tawag din natin dyan in algebra is the linear equation. Okay? So when you say cost function in algebra, basically yun yung y is equal to a plus bx. Sir, ano yan? Huwag kayong magulat. Dali lang yan. Ganito lang yan. Pag sinabi mong y, iyan yung total cost natin. Okay? Pag sinabi mong a, iyan yung fixed cost. Yung bx naman, iyan yung variable cost. Okay? And to be specific, yung b is your variable cost per unit, while yung x naman, iyan yung unit sold. Okay? Ulitin ko. Pag sinabing y is equal to a plus bx, ang isipin mo lang dyan, y iyan yung total cost, yung a yung fixed cost, yung bx iyan yung variable cost. Okay? Actually, pwede mong isipin na yung graph na yan, pag ginawa mong equation, ito siya. Gets? Okay. Now, yung b, again, iyan yung variable cost per unit. Yung x naman, technically, iyan yung activity driver. Okay? Or activity level. Iba-iba yan. Pwedeng unit sold, pwedeng direct labor hours, pwedeng machine hours. Pero para mas simple, assume natin na unit sold yan. Okay? So, ito yung goal natin, class. Mag-arrive tayo sa cost function. Iyan yung goal for each of this. Now, for the cost segregation techniques, aside sa masisegregate natin yung variable and fixed cost, ginagamit din natin yan for estimation. So later, papakita ko sa inyo kung paano yung estimation. Sige, doon muna tayo sa high-low method. Kaya siya tinawag na high-low method because ang pipiliin natin is the highest and lowest points. Pero ingat ka, ang magiging basis mo dito is the cost driver, not cost. Sulat mo muna. So later, apply natin yan. Ulitin ko, sa high-low methods, pipili ka ng highest and lowest point. So, ibig sabihin, 2 points lang. Pero ang basis mo doon is the cost driver, hindi yung cost. Okay? So, para mas malinaw, i-apply natin siya. Let's go to problem number 9. Okay, problem number 9. Siguro, pwede ko nang i-erase to class, no? Para focus na tayo sa cost segregation techniques. Number 9 is about high-low method. Now, doon mo tayo sa question. Using the high-low method of analyzing costs, answer the following. What is the estimated variable portion? Okay, how much daw yung variable cost? What's the estimated fixed cost? And then, letter C, later na sagutan. Let's read the problem. Erin Company gathered the following information on power costs and factory machine usage for the last 6 months. May given na 6 months atin, January to June, merong power cost and merong machine hours. Okay? Yung power cost, yun yung total cost. Okay, ito siya. Yung Y. Okay? And machine hours, actually class, iyan yung X. Alright? Now, pag i-apply natin yung high-low method, pipiliin natin yung highest and lowest. Kaya sinabi ko kanina, ang magiging basis mo is the cost driver, hindi yung cost. So, magpo-focus tayo dun sa machine hours. Okay? Yun yung cost driver natin. Hindi yung power cost yung magiging basis mo. Gets? Okay. Alin yung highest muna? Well, yung highest dyan is 17,600 machine hours. Nakita mo yun? So, lagyan mo na mark. Yung lowest naman is the 6,600 machine hours. Nakita mo yun? So, yun yung, may nakita natin yung highest and the lowest point. Now, ganito gagawin natin class. To apply the high-low method. Ang una natin gagawin is to compute for the variable cost per unit. So, paano yan, sir? To compute for the variable cost per unit, yung numerator mo is the cost. Tama? Napili na natin yung Feb and June. Okay? So, yung numerator natin is the cost. 30,300. Okay, yung highest, i-minus mo dun sa lowest. 14,900. Okay? Yung denominator natin, 17,600 minus 6,600. Okay, step by step. Variable cost per unit muna. So, compute natin class. 30,300 minus 14,900. And then, so 15,400. I-divide natin yan by 17,600 minus 6,600. 11,000. So, 15,400 divided by 11,000. So, tingnan natin class. Variable cost per unit natin is 1.4. Okay? So, 1.4 per machine hour. Yan ang sagot mo dun sa requirement A. Okay? Variable cost per unit natin is 1.4 pesos per machine hour. Ulitin ko lang kasi marami nagkakamali dito. Ang basis mo kung sino yung highest at sino yung lowest, yung cost driver. Meron kasing instances class na mas mataas yung cost. For example, in this case, yung January, ang cost mo dyan is 50,000. Hindi yun yung magiging basis mo. Ang basis mo pa rin is the machine hours. Okay? Pero sa formula natin, to compute the variable cost per unit, yung numerator mo is the cost, yung denominator mo is the cost driver. Okay? In this case, yung cost driver natin is the machine hour. Right? Nakuha na natin yung variable cost per unit. Paano natin makuha yung total, yung fixed cost naman, which is the requirement B? Ganito gagawin natin, class. Alam natin na total cost is equal to variable cost plus fixed cost. Tama? Well, alam na natin kung how much yung variable cost. Okay? 1.4 per machine hour. Now, pwede natin gamitin yung sa Feb. Okay? Sa Feb, ang total cost na given dyan is 30,300. Tama? Is equal to variable cost, which is 1.4 times ilan yung hours? 17,600. Okay? Plus fixed cost. Solve for fixed cost. 17,600 times 1.4 minus 30,300. Yung fixed cost natin class is 5,660. Ito yung sagot natin sa requirement B. Yan yung fixed cost natin. Now, diba, 2 points yung ginamit natin, tama? Feb and June. Pag June naman yung ginamit mo, tignan mo class ha. Pag June yung ginamit natin, yung total cost is 14,900 is equal to 1.4 times 6,600 plus fixed cost. Tingnan natin kung how much yung makuha natin. 6,600 times 1.4 minus natin yung 14,900, fixed cost mo is 5,660. So whether gamitin mo yung highest or lowest point, magkamukha lang yung masosolve mo na fixed cost. Gets? Okay. Now, sabi ko kanina, mag-arrive tayo sa cost function. Well, ito na yung cost function natin. Alam na natin yan. So, mangyayari dyan class, yung cost function natin is y is equal to, yung a natin, yung fixed cost, or yung total cost natin, total cost is equal to variable cost per unit, or sorry, yung fixed, y is a plus bx, tama? So, total cost is equal to, yung fixed cost natin is 5,660, plus, ano yung b? Well, yung b natin is variable cost per unit, 1.4 per machine hour. Okay? So, ayan. Now, makukumpita natin yung letter C. What is the, if it is estimated that 10,000 factory machine hours will be run in July, what is the expected total cost? I-apply lang natin to. Okay? Yung cost function natin. Sabi ko kanina, magagamit din natin yan for estimation. Yung requirement C, yun yung estimation. Okay? Sabi dyan, what if daw 10,000 yung machine hours next month, July? How much yung total cost? Gagawin ko lang dyan, total cost. Apply ko lang yung formula natin. Yung fixed cost mo is 5,660 plus 1.4. Ilan yung machine hours? 10,000. O yan. Yan yung sagot natin. Let's compute for the total cost. So 10,000 times 1.4 plus 5660, sagot natin class is 19,660. Ito yung total cost. This is the final answer for requirement C. Okay, so as you notice, yung cost segregation techniques natin, which is the high-low method, una nagawa natin from total cost, nalaman natin yung variable cost, nalaman natin yung fixed cost, which is yun talaga yung main goal of the cost segregation techniques. Another goal is we can use that for estimation. Ang estimate daw for next month is 10,000 machine hours. Alam natin class, ito yung formula natin. 5660 fixed cost plus 1.4 times machine hours. Total estimated cost next month is 90,660. Okay, let's go to the second one. Second cost segregation technique is the scatter graph method. Basically class, pag sa scatter graph method, nagpa-plot tayo ng mga data points. Okay, so lagay ko dito, plots data points. So ganito yan. Basically, sa scatter graph method, literally graph yung gagamitin natin. So ito yung units, ito naman yung total cost. Okay. So for example, sa problem 9 kanina, January to June, tama? So, or number of units. Basically, ipa-plot mo yung actual cost na na-incur. Okay? Ipa-plot mo siya sa number of units na na-produce mo. Ayan. And from the data points, magdodraw tayo ng line, ng linear equation or cost function. Well, for scatter graph, FYI na lang yan. So, gusto ko lang maintindihan nyo na ganyan yung ginagawa sa scatter graph. Na pina-plot yung actual cost per unit or per month, and then from there, magde-develop ka ng cost function. Hindi natin kailangan alamin for board exam purposes kung paano gawin yan. FYI na lang. Na ganyan yung ginagawa for scatter graph method. Okay? Ang advantage of scatter graph method, visual siya. Nai-imagine natin. Okay? Dahil may mga data points. Okay? Now, third type of cost segregation technique is the least squares or the regression method, which is the most accurate type of cost segregation technique. Now, dito medyo complicated ha? So, listen very carefully. Ganito techniques sa regression. Tuturusan yung step by step. Merong 3 steps. Step number 1, so makinig ka muna, later i-apply natin. Step number 1, isulat mo muna yung cost function, which is y is equal to a plus bx. Yan yung step 1, malinaw. Step number 2, multiply tayo ng summation. Ano ba yung summation? Ganun, no? Summation. Okay, mag-multiply tayo ng summation. Summation of y, multiply tayo ng summation dito. Okay, summation of y is equal to na plus b summation of x. Okay? Sulat mo muna ha. Alam ko, nakakalito sa simula. Later, i-apply natin. Third step, i-multiply natin by x. Okay? Multiply natin ito by x. Summation of xy, okay, nagkaroon ng x, is equal to a summation of x plus b summation of x squared. Okay? Sulitin ko. 3 steps. Una, sulat mo muna yung cost function. Oh, madali na yan. Ito lang yan. Second step, mag-multiply tayo ng summation dun sa cost function. So, magiging summation of y is equal to a, magiging na. So, kailangan mo i-memorize yung formula na to. Okay, yung dalawa na yan. Okay? So, ganito technique class. Pag sa board exam, binigyan ka ng questionnaire ng proctor. Pag nag-board exam ka na, sa first page ng questionnaire, sa management services na subject, sa first page, isulat mo na agad to para hindi mo makalimutan. Okay? Pero, most of the time, actually, given yan sa problem. Mamaya, pag nag-solve tayo, papakita ko sa inyo. Pero, para sure tayo, pagbigay ni proctor ng questionnaire, sa first page pa lang, sulat mo na to. Okay? Just in case may itanong na regression sa exam, kaya mo sagutan. Balik tayo. So, sulat mo yung cost function, y is equal to a plus bx. Multiply tayo ng summation. Summation of y is equal to na plus b summation of x. Nakita mo yun? Yung mga summation? Okay, dito lang nagkaiba, yung a naging na. Next step, multiply tayo ng x. So, yung summation of y naging summation of xy. Okay? Yung na naging a summation of x. Nag-multiply tayo ng x, therefore, magiging b summation of x squared yan. Yung dalawa na ito yung important. Okay? Yung 2 and 3. Yan yung gagamitin natin to solve dun. Para i-apply natin dun para i-apply natin yung regression. Sige. Let's go to problem number 10. Okay, problem number 10. So, for this one, siguro erase ko na to. Okay? Problem number 10. Medyo may babaguhin ako sa given sa problem number 10. So, make sure na ito yung nasa handouts mo, okay? So, ignore mo muna yung nandyan sa mismong problem. Ito yung susundin mo, ha? So, sulat ko muna. January, Feb, March, April, May, June. Okay? So, sulat mo to. Yung cost natin for January is 27,000. Okay? For Feb, 30,000. For March, 31,000. April, 19. May, 24. And June, 29,000. Okay, so update natin yung given sa problem, ha? Ito yung susundin mo. Yung machine hours naman, ito yung sulat mo, ha? 800 for January, for Feb, 500, for March, 1,000, for April, 400, For May, 600. For June, 900. Make sure na ito yung nasa given. Okay? So, cost and machine hours. Alright, now. Alam natin class na, yung sabi ko muna, apply natin yung regression sa problem number 10. Ano yung first step? First step, sulat muna natin yung equation. Y is equal to A plus BX. Okay? Second step, multiply tayo ng summation. So gusto ko, actually itong pag-multiply na to class, ano lang yan, parang clue lang yan. Okay? Para lang maalala mo. Okay, so multiply tayo ng summation. Bali ang mangyayari sa atin, summation of Y is equal to NA plus B summation of X. Yan yung first equation natin. Okay? Second equation, multiply tayo ng X. So mangyayari, summation of XY is equal to A summation of X plus B summation of X squared. Itong dalawa na to, yan yung gagamitin natin. Guide lang to ha, sinulat ko lang yan. Guide lang yan para ma-develop mo to. Now, kailangan ma-interpret natin kung ano ibig sabihin yan. So ano ba yung Y? Alam natin class na yung Y, yun yung cost. Okay? So yung given sa atin na yan, Y yan. No, 1 yan. So pag sinabing summation of Y, i-add lang natin lahat yan. O sige, add natin. 27,000 plus 30,000 plus 31,000 plus 19 plus 24 plus 29, you get 100. Ulit, 27. Ulitin ko ha. 27,000. Ito pala, 20,000 lang yung Feb. Okay? 20,000 yung Feb. January, 27,000. Feb, 20,000. March, 31. April, 19. May, 24. And then June, 29,000. Okay, so yung summation of Y natin is 150,000. Ulitin ko, yung Y sa cost function natin is the cost. Pag sinabing summation, ay add lang natin. Yung machine hours naman class, iyan yung X. Okay, yung activity level natin. So yung summation of X, ito, basically, add lang natin yan. So 800 plus 500 plus 1,000 plus 400 plus 600 plus 900. You get 4,200. Okay, edi okay na tayo sa summation of Y, okay na tayo sa summation of X. Sir, ano naman yung N? Yung N, ito yung number of observations. So, January, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yung N natin is just 6. Gets? Sir, ano yung A, ano yung B? Well, yung A, yan yung fixed cost. Yung B, yan yung variable cost per unit. So, yan yung aalamin natin later. Okay? So, basically, okay na tayo sa equation 1. So, yung equation 1 natin, ang mangyayari dyan, nalagay ko dito, summation of Y, ibig sabihin, 150,000 is equal to, yung N natin is 6A, plus, yung summation of X natin is 4,200B. Ayan. So, i-retain lang natin yung A and B kasi yan yung hahanapin natin. Okay? Doon naman tayo sa second equation. Kailangan natin malaman yung summation of XY. So, i-multiply daw natin yung X and Y, tapos i-add natin sila. Okay. So, yung X natin yung machine hours, yung Y natin yung cost. So, ibig sabihin class, yung XY, multiply natin. So, 27,000 times 800. So, be patient ha. So, sabayan nyo ako mag-compute. 21.6 million. Okay. So, 20,000 times 500. This is 10 million. 31,000 times 1,000. This is 31 million. 19,000 times 400, you have 7.6 million. Okay. 24,000 times 600, you have 14.4 million. And then 29,000 times 900, you have 26.1 million. Okay. Now, ito yung XY. Pero ang kailangan natin, summation of XY. Ibig sabihin, kailangan natin i-add lahat yan. Okay. So, 21.6 million, isa-isay natin, plus 10 million, plus 31 million, okay, plus 7.6 million, plus 14.4, plus 26.1, you should get 110.7 million. Oh, so, okay na tayo dito. Tama? So, lagay natin dito yung equation na yan. 110.7 million is equal to, okay, A times summation of X. Diba? May summation of X na tayo, sir. Di ba ito yun? Yes. So, 4,200A plus B summation of X squared. May X squared na pa tayo? Wala pa. Meron tayong X, pero wala pa tayong X squared. So, dito natin computein yung X squared. Pag sinabi mo X squared, multiply natin yung X sa sarili niya. Okay? So, 800 times 800, you get 640,000. 500 times 500, 250,000. 1,000 times 1,000, this is 1 million. 400 times 400, 160,000. 600 times 600, 360,000. 900 times 900 is 810,000. Okay, so computein natin. 640,000 plus 250,000 plus 1 million plus 160 plus 360,000 plus 810,000, you get 3,220,000. So yung 3,220,000, iyan yung X squared natin. So, nalagay natin dito, 3,220,000B. Okay. So, ito yung two equations natin. Ito yung important dyan. Sir, ano next step? Okay, before tayo mag-next step, sir, ganyan, napaka-complicated naman na tinuturo mo. Ganyan ba sa board exam? Okay. So, maliit yung chance na lumabas sa board exam. Okay? Pero syempre, dapat prepared tayo kahit anong mangyari. Now, most of the time, given na yung summation of XY, given na yung summation of x squared, given na yung x, given na yung y. Given na sa problem. Okay, most of the time. Hindi ka na pag-computein katulad ng ginawa natin. Ang hindi given sa problem, yung dalawang equation na yan. Kaya kailangan, kabisado mo to. Well, actually, minsan given din yan. It's just a matter of ipa-plug in mo na lang yung figures. So, yung ginagawa natin sa class, ito na yung worst case scenario na pwede sa board exam. Okay? Pero for sure, sobrang taas ang chance na given na lahat yan. Ipa-plug in mo na lang sa formula. Okay? Yung next step natin class, after this, ma-develop natin yung equation, i-eliminate natin, okay? And second, magsa-substitute tayo. Sir, ano ibig sabihin mo dyan? Okay, eliminate muna natin class yung A. Paano natin may eliminate yung A? Well, gagawin ko dyan, 4,200 i-divide ko sa 6. 700 nakuha ko. 4,200 divided by 6, 700. So, ang gagawin ko class, yung sa first equation, mag-multiply ako ng negative 700. Negative kasi, pag nag-multiply ako ng negative 700 dito, magiging negative 4,200A yan. Tama? Ngayon, mag-cross out yan. Mawawala si A. Okay, so mangyayari dyan, 700 times 150,000, mangyayari, 105 million. So ito, magiging negative 105 million is equal to, ito hindi ko napapakita kasi negative na yan, cross out na sila, 4,200 times 700. 4,200 times 700, you get 2,940,000. Negative 2,940,000 B. Okay? So mangyayari, i-copy-paste lang natin to. So 110, 700,000 is equal to 3,220,000 B. Okay. So, again class, huwag kayong magpanik ha. Ito na yung worst case scenario na lalabas sa board exam. Pag nakafollow kayo sa ginawa ko, kayang-kaya nyo na yan. Okay, so tingnan natin class. Siyempre, negative, isang positive. So, minus natin yan. 110, 700,000 minus 105 million, you get 5.7 million. Okay, is equal to 3,220 minus 2,940, you get 280,000 B. Okay, solve for B. 5.7 million divided by 280,000, you get 20.36. So, round up natin, 20.36. O, di ba class, yung B natin, iyan yung variable cost per unit. So, nakuha natin yung variable cost per unit, which is 20.36. So, iyan yung tinatawag kong eliminate muna. In-eliminate muna natin si A. Tama? Kailangan natin ngayon malaman, nakuha natin si B, kailangan natin malaman si A. Isa-substitute naman natin. So, ganito gagawin ko dyan, class. Gamitin ko na lang yung first equation na to. Okay? So, 150,000 is equal to 6A plus 4,200, alam natin si B, 20.36. Okay, let's solve for A. So, gagawin ko dyan, 4,200 times 20.36, ma-minus ko yung 150,000, i-divide ko by 6. Okay, so nakuha ko dito class, 10,748. 10,748. Okay, so ito yung fixed cost ko. Ito yung variable cost per unit. Okay, so ibig sabihin, yung cost function natin class, y is equal to a plus bx, yung total cost natin is basically fixed cost, 10,748 plus 20.36 times, ano yan? Ano yung machine hours? Okay? Machine hours. Okay yan. So, ano ba yung question dito? Well, ito yung this is your, ito na yung ano mo, cost function mo. Alright? So, yun yung cost function natin. Now, what if, so yung variable cost natin is this one. Ito yung variable cost is 20.36 per machine hour. Fixed cost mo is 10,748. And then yung equation natin is this one. Okay, so what if class, so again, pwedeng gamitin pang estimate yan, tama? So what if next month, July, ang ina-estimate natin na may incur is 3,000 machine hours. So how much yung magiging total cost? So if 3,000 machine hours, how much yung total cost natin? Apply lang natin to. Parang sa high-low method kanina. Total cost is equal to 10,748 plus 20.36 times 3,000 hours. Okay, so computing natin yung estimate total cost for next month. 20.36 times 3,000 plus 10,748, answer natin class, 71,828. So ito yung estimate natin for July if 3,000 machine hours yung may incur. Okay. So ulitin ko lang, ganyan yung step-by-step ng regression equation. Mabilis lang ha, ulitin ko. First step, lagay mo na yung cost function, y is equal to a plus bx. Multiply ka ng summation, so magiging ganito yung first equation mo. Mag-multiply ka ng x, magiging ganito yung second equation mo. Very important, malaman mo to. First equation and second equation. Now, next step natin, kailangan natin i-plug in yung figures, okay, yung amounts. Most of the time, sa exam, given na yan. Yung summation of y, summation of x, xy, x squared, given na siya. Ipapasok mo lang sa formula. Pag hindi pa given, ito yung computation niya. Now, pinasok natin sa formula. Nakuha natin to. Tama? Next step natin, in-eliminate natin si a. Paano ma-eliminate si a? Divide mo lang yan. Para malaman mo how much yung i-multiply mo sa first equation para ma-eliminate to. So, don't forget, syempre, mag-multiply ka rin dyan. Kaya nakuha natin to. From there, nakuha natin si B. Alam natin sa cost function na si B is the variable cost per unit. Okay? 20.36. Paano natin malalaman yung fixed cost per unit? Well, i-substitute mo lang yan sa formula. Pwedeng dito or pwedeng dito. Same lang ang makukuha mo doon. So, substitute sa formula, we get 8,10748. Yung cost function natin, total cost natin, is equal to 10,748, which is the fixed cost, plus 20.36 times machine hours. If next month, ang estimate natin is 3,000 machine hours, pasok lang natin sa formula, ang estimate natin total cost for next month is 71,828. Okay. Kaya class yung regression, yun yung pinaka-accurate. Kita mo naman siguro, sobrang medyo challenging siya i-compute. Okay. Matapos na tayo class, let's go to theory. Number 33. Okay. Number 33. These are among the methods of segregating fixed cost and variable cost. Regression, yes. Scatter graph, yes. Break-even, hindi yan. So letter C yung mali dyan. High-low method, yes. Letter C for number 33. Number 34, the principal advantage of the scatter diagram or the scatter graph method over the high-low of cost estimation is that the scatter diagram, boy tayo dyan for number 34, considers more than 2 points. Sa high-low kasi class, highest and lowest point lang. So hindi mo na-consider yung ibang data points. While sa scatter graph and sa regression, na-consider mo yung iba-ibang points. Yun yung advantage nila over high-low method. Letter B for number 34. Number 35, which of the following statements is true when referring to the high-low method? A, the high-low method has no major weakness. Merong weakness yan kasi 2 points lang yung na-consider niya. B, high-low method is very hard to apply. Easy to apply. Okay? C, in essence, the high-low method draws a straight line through 2 data points. That's correct. Letter C is correct. Highest and lowest points. Number 36, the quantitative method that will separate a semi-variable cost into fixed and variable components. By the way, class, yung mixed cost, pag sinabing total cost, mixed cost, and semi-variable cost, pwede mong gamitin interchangeably yun. Ang ibig sabihin na nun, magkasama yung fixed and variable cost. Okay? Ang tawag natin dyan, class, for B, sabi dyan, highest degree of precision, or basically, yung pinaka-accurate. We call it the least squares or regression method. Letter boy for number 36. Number 37, simple regression analysis involves the use of. Let's go to letter B, one dependent variable and one independent variable. Sir, ano ibig sabihin niya? So, medyo may konting algebra. Ang ibig sabihin ng dependent variable class, dito sa pinag-aralan natin, yun yung nakadepend siya. Kaya dependent. Yung amount niya nakadepend on something. Okay? So yung dependent variable, actually, yun yung total cost natin. Okay? Ito na lang. Pag sinabing dependent, isipin mo lang, yun yung total cost natin. Sir, bakit dependent yan? Kasi class, dependent yan kung ilang machine hours yung magagamit natin. Okay? Kaya yung machine hours, or kung ano man yung activity level natin, pwede units sold, we call this the independent variable. Okay? Ulitin ko, dependent variable, nakadepende siya to something. Dito, yung total cost natin, iyan yung dependent. Because dependent siya kung ilang machine hours. Kasi depende dito, okay, mako-compute mo yung variable cost. I-add mo sa fixed cost, mako-compute yung total cost. Yan yung dependent variable. Yung independent variable, hindi siya nakadepend kahit saan. Okay? Yung machine hours, independent variable yan. Okay? Kaya sinabing simple regression class, meron kasi tayong tinatawag na multiple regression. Pero wala na yun sa board exam. For board exam purposes, hindi mo na kailangan alamin kung paano mag-compute ng multiple regression. But basically, pag sinabing multiple regression, maraming independent variables. Okay? Pag simple, isang dependent, isang independent, which is yung ginawa natin before. Letter B for number 37. Okay, last concept na, before we end yung cost concepts. Listen very carefully, gusto ko maintindihan nyo to. Now, we have what we call may concept tayong tinatawag na goodness of fit. Okay, so ano yung goodness of fit? Basically, class, yung goodness of fit, ito yung accuracy or the reliability of the cost function. Okay? So yung na-develop natin na cost function kanina, ito. Yung na-develop natin kanina sa high-low method, meron tayong measurement kung gaano sila ka-accurate. Di ba class? Ginagamit din natin yan pang estimate. Okay? Parang kanina, in-estimate natin, what if 3,000 machine hours? Gaano ka-accurate or gaano ka-reliable yung na-derive natin na cost function? Ang tawag dyan, sa pag-measure niyan, is the goodness of fit. Okay? May dalawang measures tayo. Ang first one, so medyo technical lang konti, pero madali lang ito intindihin class. May tinatawag tayong coefficient of correlation. Yung second one naman, coefficient of determination. Now, hindi mo kailangan alamin kung paano computein to. Kailangan mo lang malaman paano siya i-interpret. Okay? Dito muna tayo sa coefficient of correlation. Actually, more of statistics yung yung concept nito. Yung coefficient of correlation, denoted siya by R. R yung tawag sa kanya sa statistics. Yung coefficient of determination naman, R squared. Okay? Doon muna tayo sa coefficient of correlation. So, ano ba ibig sabihin yan? Ito lang tatandaan mo dyan, yung relation. Okay? Yung word na relation. Because yung coefficient of correlation measures the degree of relationship between, sulat mo muna, explain ko later, two variables. Okay? So, it measures the degree of relationship between two variables. Yung coefficient of correlation, may range yan. Pwede yan na between -1, 0, and +1. Okay? Doon muna tayo sa +1. Pag sinabing +1, strong positive correlation. Okay? Positive correlation. Pag sinabing 0, no correlation. Okay? Pag sinabing -1, strong negative correlation. Ano ibig sabihin nun, sir? So, doon tayo sa positive correlation. Pag tumaas yung isang variable, tataas yung another variable. Kaya positive. Okay? Direct relationship. Pag walang correlation, pag tumaas yung isang variable, pwedeng bumaba or pwedeng tumaas yung isang variable. Wala silang relationship. Pag naman negative, pag tumaas yung isang variable, bababa yung isang variable. Inverse naman siya. Now, dun sa pinag-aralan natin, yung variable natin, yung nabenta natin. Okay? Actually, yung machine hours. Okay? So, pag dumami yung machine hours, dadami yung tataas yung total cost natin. Kaya sa napag-aralan natin, okay, sa mga na problem na solve natin, masasabi natin na positive correlation siya. So, ulitin ko, yung range, pag coefficient of correlation is from -1 to +1. So, ulitin ko class ha, pag nabasa niyo yung coefficient of correlation, dito kayo mag-focus. Relationship between two variables, tatlo. Pwedeng negative, okay, inverse pag negative, pwedeng no correlation, 0, or pwedeng positive. Pag tumaas yung isa, tataas yung isa. Okay? So, ito yung mas makaka-relate tayo, yung positive correlation, kasi yun yung mga na-solve natin. Gets? Okay. Now, last one. Coefficient of determination. Ito naman class yung strength of the linear equation or the cost function. Strength of the cost function. Yun na-develop natin, na cost function. Gaano ka-strong yan, gaano ka-accurate yan. Minimeasure siya ng coefficient of determination. Now, R squared. Ibig sabihin, i-multiply mo ng 2 beses yung R. Yung multiply mo sa sarili niya. Makukuha mo yung R squared. Sir, bakit minumultiply pa? Bakit hindi na lang coefficient of correlation? Kasi class, sa coefficient of correlation, meron ka negative na minsan mahirap i-interpret. Mas madaling interpret kapag between 0 and 1. Okay? Instead na may negative pa. Okay? So, ulitin ko, since R squared yan, di ba, pag ang isang number, minultiply mo na sa sarili niya, pag negative, magpa-positive yun. Tama? So, ibig sabihin, pag coefficient of determination, walang negative. Sa correlation, meron. Sa determination, wala kasi naka-square siya. Isipin mo lang, class, again, hindi mo na kailangan malaman paano i-compute yan. Tandaan mo lang na pag coefficient of determination, the closer to 1, the better. Yun lang. Ibig sabihin sa statistics, imagine mo, pag magko-compute ng R squared, mas malapit sa 1, mas accurate, mas reliable yung cost function na na-develop natin. Yun ang ibig sabihin ng coefficient of determination. Gets? Okay. Tapusin natin yung handouts. Let's go to number 38. A measure of the extent to which two variables are related linearly. Okay? Related or relationship. Ano tawag natin dyan? Coefficient of correlation, letter C. Ang coefficient of correlation, nag-range siya ng -1 to 1. Sa -1, ang tawag natin dyan, perfect negative correlation. Sa +1, perfect positive correlation. Let's go to 39. In regression analysis, which of the following correlation coefficients represents the strongest? Ang strongest dito, mas malapit sa -1 or mas malapit sa 1. Yun yung strongest. Okay, letter A, 1.03. Mali na yan. Kasi bawal ka sumobra sa 1. Diba? 1.03, sobra sa 1 yan. So, hindi pwedeng correlation yan. So, mali na yan. B, -0.02. C, -0.89. D, 0.75. Alin yung mas malapit? Sa -1 at 1? Well, ang mas malapit dyan yung letter C, yung -0.89. Okay? Mas malapit siya sa -1. Therefore, ang sagutan sa number 39 is letter C. Number 40, in regression analysis, coefficient of determination is a measure of... Okay, ulitin ko, pag sinabing coefficient of determination kung gaano ka-strong at kung gaano ka-accurate yung cost function natin. Pero actually, technically speaking, ang definition niya talaga ng coefficient of determination is letter A. The amount of variation in the dependent variable explained by the independent variables. A yung sagot natin for number 40. Yan talaga yung definition ng coefficient of determination. Parang ganito yung class, kung how much ba na-explain nung independent, in our case yung machine hours, kung how much na i-explain yung dependent variable or yung total cost. Okay? So medyo mahirap intindihin, kaya sinabi ko na lang yung coefficient of determination, yan yung strength of cost function. Ulitin ko, sa coefficient of determination, ang range niya is 0 to 1, and mas okay na mas malapit sa 1. Ulitin ko, pag coefficient of determination, the closer to 1, the better. Okay? For number 40, answer natin class is letter A. Okay, that's the end of the discussion for cost concepts.